So Ahsoka episodes have started dropping this month, and man, are they mediocre. Dave Filoni was somehow able to suck all of the life out of his own characters and water their banter down to the most cookie-cutter exchanges, and it's almost impressive. After Ahsoka dropped, I had to go and rewatch the first two films of the original trilogy. It made me realize that almost everything Disney has put out is either watered down, a catastrophe of writing, or both. No show is a greater example of this than The Mandalorian. People are just now seeing the third season and losing interest when it's been flawed from the start. I'm not here to complain about Baby Yoda or the wasted premise, because frankly, I believe that those grievances are pretty shallow. What I'm going to do is compare two cantina scenes where we get introduced to significant characters. One from Star Wars A New Hope, and one from The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 4. Now, without further ado, let's jump straight into A New Hope's iconic cantina scene, shall we? In fact, actually, you know what, to make it fair, since the scene we're looking at in The Mandalorian is only about 4 minutes long, I'll only cover 4 minutes of the cantina scene in A New Hope. Now, let's see how they introduce Han Solo in A New Hope.
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Boom. Right there, his first line. Two big things about Han's character are established. His pride in his ship, and his big ego. He states that he's captain of the Millennium Falcon as if it's prestigious because he's proud of how good his ship is, as well as his skills as a pilot. It's a trait of his that is highly prevalent throughout this scene. Obi-Wan, having lived on a desert planet for 20 years, would obviously never know about Han's prowess as a pilot, nor the Millennium Falcon.
Fast ship. You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon?
Should I have?
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Regardless, this doesn't cause the least bit of distress in Han, and he gets straight to the point.
I've outrun Imperial starships. Not the local bulk cruisers, mind you. I'm talking about the big Carillion ships now.
When Luke hears this, he breaks his gaze for a second, indicating insecurity. Neat little detail right there. Han then asks about what's he got to smuggle exactly.
What's the cargo?
Only passengers. Myself, the boy, 2 droids, and no questions asked.
To which Han asks,
What is it, some kind of local trouble?
nice little setup for the fact that Han knows money to Jabba.
Let's just say we'd like to avoid any Imperial entanglements.
Well, that's the real trick, isn't it? And it's going to cost you something extra. 10,000, all in advance.
It's a greedy but smart move by Han. He knows that Obi-Wan must be desperate if the Empire's on his tail, so he raises the price since he figures someone on the run from the Imperials doesn't really have any other option. Obi-Wan isn't much surprised, but Luke is utterly flabbergasted.
10,000, all in advance.
10,000?
Han then responds in the most in-character way possible.
But who's going to fly it, kid? You?
You bet I could. I'm not such a bad pilot myself.
This scene basically sets up how Han reacts to insults, as we see later on the Death Star with Leia.
Looks like you managed to cut off our only escape route.
Maybe you'd like it back in your cell, Your Highness.
But this little interaction also establishes the starting point of the relationship between Han and Luke, who over the course of the movie slowly gain a friendship between each other. It also sets up Luke's experience as a pilot, which is very important, of course, for the third act. And then, of course, the scene shows Luke's impatience and inexperience. This aspect of his character is a glaring flaw that is paid off thoroughly throughout The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke fails to overcome his emotions and impatience constantly, and at the end, he pays a hefty price for it. But I guess that's getting into reasons for why Empire Strikes Back is so great. So, moving on to the next reason this little clip I just showed you is so perfect. Obi-Wan doesn't try to find a cheaper pilot. As soon as Luke starts bickering with Han, Obi-Wan gives out an even more costly deal.
We can pay you 2,000 now, plus 15 when we reach Alderaan.
Obi-Wan decides to go with Han for the sole reason of teaching Luke a lesson in patience. It's honestly something I never caught until I rewatched this scene for the purpose of making this video, and it's fucking fantastic. Obi-Wan also makes sure that Han won't sell them out by making sure not to give all of the money up front to give Han an incentive to actually get him and Luke to Alderaan. Obi-Wan is a wise man who specializes in being able to say or do the right thing to persuade someone. As you can see, this scene in A New Hope has a lot of substance, and almost everything that is said and done by a character has some purpose behind it. We'll come back to the scene a little later, but right now let's start talking about the Mandalorian. In this scene, Mando is checking out a cantina and sees a chick who's looking at him suspiciously. Then a waiter comes over and asks him if he wants anything. He gets nothing for himself because he can't take off his helmet. He then gives the waitress a coin to tell him who that chick is because it's cliche, and she just says thank you instead of giving info. So hilarious. The chick that was giving Mando funny looks disappears. Mando then gives the waitress another tip to take care of Baby Yoda and runs out of the cantina to find out where the chick went. Yeah, I don't think I have to say that this is a downgrade. The argument between Han and Luke, as well as Obi-Wan calming down Luke and negotiating to Han, takes about 25 seconds. In those 25 seconds, we learn of how arrogant Han can be towards other people, how brash and naive Luke is, the fact that Luke has piloting experience, the setup for the bond that Luke and Han develop, and some great showcasing of Obi-Wan's wisdom and quick thinking. In almost a minute of The Mandalorian, we learn that Mando can't take off his helmet, and we get a single joke. In almost a minute. There's more of this scene in Mando that I want to cover, and you'll see why. First, however, let's go back to A New Hope and talk about the rest of the cantina scene with Han and Greedo.
Yes, Greedo. As a matter of fact, I was just going to see your boss. Tell Jabba that I've got his money.
Han doesn't even bat an eye when he's being held at gunpoint. He just sits back down and starts stalling with excuses.
Yeah, but this time I've got the money.
Han, realizing he probably can't get himself out of the situation, looks up and raises his left hand up casually to draw Greedo's eyes away from his gun as he slowly and steadily draws his pistol. You can tell that Han's been in this situation before and he knows exactly what to do, which shows you that this guy really has been all over the galaxy, as he claims later.
Kid, I've flown from one side of this galaxy to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff.
It's already been set up that Han is proud of his ship, so when Greedo proposes this, Han shoots it down instantly.
I get boarded sometimes. Do you think I had a choice? Over my dead body. Yes, I bet you have.
Han mocks Greedo and then blasts him without hesitation, tips the bartender, and leaves. It's a fight that only has a single gunshot, but is engaging because it's a tense situation, has some good dialogue and strong character moments for Han, and it shows Han getting out of the situation in a believable way. Now let's see the Mandalorian's fight scene. Mando tracks the woman's footprints until the footprints end. Normally, I'd say that this makes the scene tense, but I know exactly what's going to happen when the footprints end. The bitch is going to ambush Mando is what's going to happen. I mean, you could have cut to her lying prone with a sniper rifle, taking aim on Mando, or hiding and holding a grenade, waiting to blow up Mando. But nah, Mando just gets jumped, and she starts beating on him with her bare fists and metal gauntlets, which don't do shit. Heck, even from a logical perspective, it makes no sense not to just shoot Mando with your blaster. Sure, he's wearing Beskar armor, but shooting Beskar is a better idea than punching it, I'll say that much. But, they couldn't think of a practical way to get Mando out of a situation like having a grenade thrown at him, so... Honestly, this fight is just horrible. There's a point where Mando activates his flamethrower, then proceeds to try to hit her with it, and she just stomps his foot down. If Mando had just pointed and then activated the flamethrower like most people normally would do, instead of telegraphing his move like a dumbass, the lesbian haircut chick right there would be fried sauerkraut. It's not even until 40 seconds in that either of them pulls out their guns, and they just stop because of Baby Yoda. Mando would have been better off simply not tipping the waitress in the first place.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
Next up, we get to hear about this chick's backstory.
They wanted it fast and quiet. They'd send us in on the dropships. No support, just us. Then when the imps were gone, the politics started. We were peacekeepers, protecting delegates, suppressing riots. Not what I signed up for.
So she's an ex-rebel who likes fighting. That's literally all we get. Oh yeah, we also get an explanation for why she attacked Mando.
Look, I knew you were guild. I figured you'd had a fob on me. That's why I came at you so hard.
Hold on. If you know that you're being hunted, why would you still dress in a way that would attract suspicion? No wig? No hair dye? No native clothes? Not even a pair of glasses or something? All of those options exist in Star Wars, and at best all you did was give yourself an ugly haircut. This bullshit monologue goes on for 30 seconds, reveals no more than 3 things about the character, does little to push the plot forward, and strengthens nothing previously established in Mando's previous character. In 30 seconds, New Hope accomplishes far more, establishes more things about more characters while still pushing the plot forward. Anyways, that's everything. I hope I proved my point to at least some extent. Mando Season 1 is pretty bland and incompetent compared to the originals, contrary to what you may hear, and it has plenty of plot issues along with characters with about as much depth as a plate of soup. I understand I haven't talked about the whole season though, so maybe one day, but this scene is a pretty good demonstration. Anyhow, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky. Gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky.